Okay, I'm here at Ryonet with Colin, and he's gonna help me put together this awesome print we're doing live at Long Beach. Special edition, screen printing is for lovers print, designed by Hawthorne Heights, the band that's headlining the show down there.
Looking forward to it.
So this is gonna be on our all-made heavyweight AL3000. This is a 100% recycled shirt. It is a 20s single, so it's a little bit looser knit, and we're gonna be using water-based ink. I'm actually gonna have Colin help me make sure that we get a good pop and print, so a little bit of print development here.
It's gonna be fun times.
Yeah.
You said 100% recycled. Is there any poly in that?
No, it's 100% recycled cotton, and it actually, if you look at our all-made decoration recommendations, you can see it has no dye migration issues from any of the dyes used. This is a post-dyed shirt, so it's not using like black, so we use natural recycled cotton, and actually some of the, it's called Nuff, but it's the fluff that's from the knitting machines, so it's pretty soft. It's got a good print hand, so I think it's gonna lay down pretty good.
Okay.
It's heavyweight, so it's gonna be really good for that band design. Hawthorne Heights was so cool. If you've a fan of Hawthorne Heights, Ohio's for Lovers, like one of their biggest songs, and so they kind of redid this design, screen printing is for lovers. And one really cool thing that we're doing is because of the fires that are going down there, we're actually donating all proceeds, so optional donation. We'd really appreciate it if you donated to get one of these 400 special edition band shirts at the concert, and all of those proceeds go to fire victims. So let's get into it. You can see this design is on a black shirt and it kind of pops.
It's a little bright.
Yeah, kind of designed maybe for plastisol.
Designed for automatic printing with lots of options, not live printing options.
So a couple of things at all made. We like to use water-based inks because they're nice and soft on the shirt.
Yep.
So that provides a challenge because water-based inks are not as opaque, right?
A little challenging.
Yeah. And then we're also manually printing without a flash because we got to print 400 shirts in the course of maybe 6 hours.
Yeah, hopefully 6 hours.
Yeah. So it's small time frame, lots of shirts, water-based inks that dry on the screen and is opaque. So we need to do a little bit of print development. So kind of walk me through your thought process on how to make this work.
So the first thing I was thinking of when I did this is, okay, if we're gonna do water-based, we want it to be soft, we gotta start with a slightly higher mesh count. So these are 230 thin thread mesh. There is a distressing design in there, but because we're pulling a squeegee manually, we know that we're not consistent. So I gave it a little bit thicker distressing because somebody's gonna go and oops on a squeegee and if it blurs, it won't be noticeable. But trying to hit that still, that soft, thin deposit. So we are going with as bright of a vintage look as we can get. We're gonna be using Comet White with a little bit of our clear core in there, about 20%. And then there's a Pantone color. When you look at the design on screen, it's a very minty green. And the goal is to get it as bright as we can, but it's also gonna be the first color down, which is itself a challenge. I made the ink how I would normally make the formula. I inverted the opaque core and clear core. If you follow the fusion system, we have the two different bases. So I added a base in there that's a little bit more milky, so it has a little more coverage. We're gonna see how that looks, and if it doesn't turn out the way we want, then we have a couple of options.
Okay, so checking out these inks, so you put a little bit of clear core in here, so you give it a little bit of more easier print, especially when on wet.
A little easier to print, and then also just to drop the amount of natural coverage it has.
Awesome. And then that one, you were telling me something about how these inks can have a higher pigment load now?
Yeah, so something that Minerva did, manufacturers of Green Galaxy, right around 2022, they made a change to their ink formulations in which we can do a higher pigment loading into our inks. Essentially, we can go to 40 to 50% of our ink being one of our fusion colors.
Oh, wow.
Which means really, really high saturation. Not always needed. There's rare situations in which that could be needed, but it gives us options, especially if we're printing over a white base and we really need a color to have coverage and pop.
Or directly on a black shirt.
Or directly on a black shirt.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more color shift.
So this is, how much pigment in here?
So currently that's 30% pigment, but 25% of that is white. Because the fusion white is curable by itself, I can probably triple the amount of pigment in there because it's only 4% of the formula within the base. Anyways, math, I can go really high on the coloration if I need to. So we'll see. Yeah. I also have the option of going with stretch core, although I'm not quite sure what that would do long term for.
And that's more of a polyurethane base?
That is a polyurethane base. It has more body and would naturally give us more opacity, but it's also slightly heavier on the shirt, which again, trying to steer away from.
And we're printing this live, so we want the ink to flow. We just wanted to pop just the perfect amount.
Right.
Without looking too...
Enough that we're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's try this out. Just one hole. Whoa, that looks really bright on that shirt.
Well, it's a nice mid-color cut, mid-shade.
This is what I wanted it. Discharge. Not the best for show. Okay, so this is, if you look at this, it's 18 singles, but it's still got a pretty good print hand. So
yeah,
see how well it holds that.
I would, by feeling it, I would not have thought it was that low. Yep.
Now, are you gonna double pass these water-based printing?
I am going to attempt to print it here in a way that would be more friendly when you're live printing. Like it may be a grab and push type of thing. But the first thing I want to do is just see what the baseline is.
Mm-hmm. It's not bad. What happens if you hit it again?
Yeah, it stays pretty much right there in line.
Yeah.
Let's see what it looks like with the one. So that by itself is not bad. We do see that the mint got to about the shade that I originally thought it would. Even if we lay down more ink, like through a 156, we're not gonna get that much more color saturation.
Yeah.
So what we do need to do is go back and change the amount of color in the ink. So yeah, doubling or tripling up on the pigment load. So base is 72 grams. It's 24 grams of white. So if we're tripling it, I'm going to 75 grams of white, the fusion white, and it is curable by itself. And then the green, it was 4 grams, so I'm tripling it up to 12. White is curable on its own,
yeah,
and technically has a little extra room for pigment. And then I added to the 72 grams of base, 12 grams of pigment. So there's plenty of room still if I needed to change the color for pigment loading. And because it's the same color, we don't need to worry about really cleaning out the ink.
Yeah, that definitely pops more. It's more of that teal color. Sweet.
There we go. And that's a difference with the extra amount of color in there, especially the amount of white that's able to go down. Now, I might have also been able to do this by mixing in Comet, but I didn't really want to use Comet in an ink that's going to go down underneath another color because it is a little grippy. That combo should do it. So we got a little bit of sticking to the back of the screen because the ink that was there started to dry a little bit. If we do another 3 or 4 shirts, that should loosen up real nice. And go at it like I've been printing all day. Just pound on it.
Ooh, that looks good. Send it to the band, make sure they like it. No, I met them last summer. They started their own screen print shop. They're a Ryonet customer. They had an old automatic press. They wanted to get a new, so they got a Rocky through Ryonet and worked with Josh on getting new exposure systems and stuff like that. It was really cool. Part of the deal was that they would play this show. So, yeah. Mark said, thumbs up, band approval. Always send a photo proof. Yeah, great job, Colin. I love it.
Yeah.
Band approval and everything. I definitely look at the difference here.
Yep.
And this looks a lot like, you know, what we're going for. So
yeah, much closer to the original idea that we sent over as a proof.
It's crazy how much pigment we can put in these inks now.
It is. When I originally had that conversation, I was like, wait a minute, how much?
Yeah.
I mean, it's as long as it cures out and stays in the wash, we're good.
All right, so you can get one of these awesome special edition screen printings is for lovers t-shirts at the Long Beach show on an all-made AL3000 Heavyweight. Show up, I would say around 2 p.m. 2 to 3 p.m. on Friday, right before the show. We're gonna be printing live through the show until about 8 when Hawthorne Heights plays. And also me and Brandon's band are gonna be opening up for them. So
I was gonna say, what time are you guys going on stage?
I think we're at like 6:30, 6:45-ish. Yeah, so you can see us play too. I'm gonna print me one of these shirts right now so I can wear it on stage. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, thanks Colin, good job.
No problem. You don't really need a hard squeegee when you're printing high solids.
Woo! Hey, the cool thing about water-based is it cleans up with water.